What are some reasonable expectations for Victor Wembanyama when he comes to the NBA? And should the Spurs load manage him sooner than later?
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a great work week. We'll help you get through it. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at Wemby. Shocker, right? Look, the day's almost here. He's almost officially a Spur, but we got to get through that. So we're going to be talking about what are some reasonable, let me emphasize that word, reasonable expectations for him on the court in his rookie season. And then talk about load management. It's been a kind of bit of a topic when it comes to Wemby, but maybe my guest and I have a plan how they can make that, the Spurs that is, a little easier to pill to swallow as he begins his NBA path. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and of course, the Ken's 5 Plus app. Let's go bring in our guest. He is Joe Garcia with Two Shots Podcast. It's been a while, Joe. I'm glad you are back, but we got the schedules to line up. We're good to go, and you're back. I think that's all that matters in the end.
Oh, yeah. We've both been busy. I've been working. You've been working. So it's good to be able to finally return and talk Spurs with you here on Los.
All right, let's dive into it right here. And look, shocker, as I said earlier, Joe, Wemby talk. But we got to talk about him because this is the new franchise player. Hopefully, crossing fingers that he becomes that. He's going to be a megastar. Hopefully, he becomes that. Joe, what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of hype surrounding him. And it's not just in San Antonio. It's San Antonio. It's the franchise. It's the NBA. It's the whole country of France. All eyes are on him globally. So a lot of people are thinking, well, wow, he's going to be all this and this and the next best thing since sliced bread. And look what he's going to do on the court because look what he's doing right now with the Metropolitans. But he's still a rookie. He's still a 19-year-old. Joe, what are some reasonable, let's underline that, reasonable expectations from him statistically when he makes his way to the NBA?
Well, I think one of the things you got to look, statistically, but I mean, more than that is he's going to be the odds-on favorite to win Rookie of the Year, bearing that nothing, happens to him. We don't want nothing to happen to him as far as injuries or anything like that go. But he's going to make a big impact. He's going to draw a lot of eyes, and I'm sure that his size and his athleticism, are going to be on display, and everybody's going to be just enamored with him, because he's going to be one of these larger-than-life personalities, and you look and see what he can do out there on the court. He can dribble the ball like a guard, being able to shoot the way he does. I mean, I think he's going to be a dominating presence, especially inside the paint, and being able to also have that outside game and just be able to shoot over people off of one leg, that one-legged, should I say, fadeaway jump shot that he has is just like, it's unstoppable, man. It's like a Dirk Nowitzki kind of thing, like, what do? You can't stop the rain when it's about to fall. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't stop the kid, So, yeah. I mean, you name it, man. Everybody's just going to be so excited to see him and what he's able to do out on the court. And, whether it translates to a lot of wins or not for the San Antonio Spurs, it's the excitement factor. Spurs fans have not been this excited since the Spurs drafted David Robinson, since the Spurs drafted Tim Duncan. It's to me, that's the thing that I take away from all this is that the excitement's back, Jeff. The city has a different vibe now. It doesn't feel like we're in the doldrums, like we're getting out of the purgatory that we were in as Spurs fans, so it's a good thing. It's a good feeling across, the Alamo City. I'm excited for the draft to take place. I want to see Wemby already in a Spurs uniform wearing the hat. I want to see him wearing the hat already. Make it official.
Well, that's almost here. But statistically, let's look at what he's doing out in France right now with the Metropolitans. Now, mind you, this is his regular season stats. The Metropolitans, they're in the finals right now. 21.6 points per game, turning the ball over 2.6 times, 3.0 blocks, 2.4 assists, 10.4 rebounds in 32 minutes to close out the regular season for the Metros in 34 games played. You mentioned the shooting. That is a thing that he's going to need to work on. All those YouTube highlights show you the best, but they don't show you sometimes the bad stuff. And he finished the Metros regular season 27% from the 3-point line, and from the field 47%. I'm a little surprised by that. I thought a lot of his damage will be in the paint, where it'll up it, but obviously you can tell he can score in the paint, in the mid, and obviously from the 3-point line. So that's going to need some work. But you're seeing these numbers, and they're huge. And what's interesting is that in his final season with Asvel, before he left to the Metros, he only averaged a mere 9.4 points per game in 18 minutes and 16 games played. And then he had that dramatic jump with the Metropolitans. So as far as, those are good numbers, but we have to understand too, Joe, that that's a different level. There's different rule set, different dimensions on the court, and so much more into his from France to the NBA. And the big thing that everybody's talking about is that the NBA might be easier for him to play because it's free flowing. It's not as physical as is in the Euro League, at least in Europe, I should say. I expect him to average, Joe, a double-double. But before I give you the numbers, what I think he might average, what do you think about his transition and how would it impact him statistically once he makes it to the NBA?
There's going to be a period there of adjustment. I think Spurs fans are excited to see their first look at what he's able to do in the context of playing against, NBA talent in the summer league, and then they're going to get excited to see what he can do there.
But even then, I would just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
in the summer league,
you're playing.
He's probably going to destroy everybody if he does play in the summer league. It's a big if.
He's going to play, Jeff. He has to play. The Spurs are going to want to be that center of attention. They have not been the center of attention.
Not necessarily the Spurs. The NBA is going to want him to be the center of attention.
Well, the eyes are going to be on Wemby, and who does he play for? San Antonio. So yes, it's going to be on the NBA, but more importantly, those eyes are going to also be on San Antonio, the San Antonio Spurs as a whole. As the team. So one of the things that I think we're going to see is the transition phase. But another thing is, I think we're going to see Coach Pop and possibly the coaching staff use him more as a forward. I think they're going to go ahead and have Collins come out as a center, and that way you get a little bit more longevity out of Wembaanyama, because he doesn't have to bang so much, inside the paint. You give that role to Collins, I think, and you have Wembaanyama come out as your forward. I think he's more comfortable in that position, and I think he's going to be able to thrive as a forward / power forward, because he's going to be able to, have these mismatches almost every given night against whoever's in front of him, So I think he's going to be able to flourish if they go ahead and switch him off there. Another thing is, of course, he's going to be able to have to work on that shot, but he already has a good mid-range game. Yes, he's going to have to work on that three. That's probably one of the kinks in his armor here. But the Spurs, didn't they just get a new shooting coach? So I think he can work with him. I think he can work with the kid. So I want to go ahead and just temper my expectations a little bit. I have huge expectations, just as everybody here in San Antonio does. But I'm willing to go ahead and just be patient here and come back down to earth and say, I think the kid, like you said, is going to average a double-double almost every single game. And there's going to be nights, I think, where he's just going to be a force to be reckoned with, and he's going to really show you flashes of the greatness that I think everybody sees in this kid already. So they're exciting times right now if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, Jeff. I know you're already ready to buy your Wembaanyama jersey, right? Or get some merch.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk to you about eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Add just your ride to the My Garage, and guess what? Look for the green check to know that the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop at eBay Motors, And with their over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only is available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Yeah, well, that'll probably be on display come a draft night at the AT&T Center, because there'll be a draft party there. And the Spurs did say that the fan shop will be open. I wonder what kind of T-shirts and jerseys will be hanging on the shelves. And
they're going to sell out.
Oh, yeah, they're going to sell. But the point is, as far as his statistical prediction that's realistic, again, I mentioned a double-double. I'm expecting something about 18, 19, close to 20 a game, plus about 9 to 10 rebounds per game. I think he will continue to struggle a bit from the three line. I think that'll be the work in progress segment of his rookie season. But I also do expect him to cut down on turnovers. I mean, 2.6. And granted, he's only had a short 3-year stint overseas in France, but 2.6 turnovers per game last year, or the regular season, I should say, with the Metropolitans. That's high. It's a little high as 3 turnovers a game. And you look at his assist ratio, 2.4. So that assist to turnover ratio is pretty bad. So I'd like to see that come up. I think one of the things the Spurs should try to focus on, aside from cutting down the turnovers and 3-point shot, is also becoming him kind of a deadly passer and finding open players. He's going to command double teams. He's going to get triple teams probably. So I'd like to see that area of his improvement. Just cut down on the turnovers, increase the assist. But you're going to see defenses show him different looks almost every night. Yes, they're going to body him. Yes, they're going to try to bully him. Yes, they're going to try to dare him to shoot from 3, and hopefully he connects on that. But I'm predicting about a good double-double. I think he's going to have, like every rookie, though, he's going to hit the rookie wall, and we're going to be screaming off our head, what's going on with Wemby? What's going on? That's just normal for every rookie. And brace yourself, everybody. Joe, you too. He's going to get dunked on. Somebody's going to cross him up and drop him. That's coming, because that's just part of the process. Look,
as
you
long
could
as
be a
it's
rookie.
not LeBron.
Yeah, you could be a rookie like Wemby, or you could be a veteran like LeBron, and those things happen. So now, the one area too that I would like, that I realistically think he will hit is the 3-point line. I think by mid-season he'll be hovering a little under 33 or 32%, and I think that'll be good for his progress. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything you're saying here. One of the things that he's going to actually have to learn quite a bit is just how fast the game moves here at the NBA level. How athletic some of these big men are, and he's going to be, like you said, they're going to give him different looks, and he's just going to have to learn to work through it, and again, being able to get the pass off at the right time, and not turning the ball over. I mean, these are things he's going to have to learn. There's going to be growing pains in the beginning. I have no doubt. You look and see what happened in the past with some of the other Spurs rookies. You look at Keldon Johnson, for example. He got better, and look at the type of player that he's kind of evolved into now. Same thing happened with like Devin Vassell, So you just got to be patient, and I think what's going to happen with him is that the kid will really start coming into his own. But there's going to be some growing pains, some aspects of his game he's going to have to work on. But all the mechanics are there. You look and see some of his highlight videos and see what he can do in the context of a game itself, and you get excited. Beyond just the highlights, you look at the mechanics. What the kid has already. That length, that athleticism. And he has a good basketball IQ. I think the kid can really put a lot of things together and really make a splash here in his rookie season. Like I said, I fully expect him to go ahead and be the runaway candidate for Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to be in that conversation just about every single time you turn on that TV and you're watching the 4-letter network, or you're watching the, an NBA game on TNT or whatever, you're going to be.
Or they're listening to Two Shots podcast, right?
Or they're listening to us, here at Lowe's or Two Shots. He's going to be in that conversation. So he brings a lot of excitement. And I think at the end of the day, beyond just the statistical, stats and things that we can throw out there, it's what he does not only for the city as a whole, but also for this community and the economy here in San Antonio. Already he's increased the Spurs value. Can you imagine all the, Wemby merch that's going to be sold, not just here in San Antonio, but on a global scale? I mean, the Spurs are going to, when they go ahead and when they go ahead and pick him at number 1, oh man, I bet you they're just going to be hearing those ka-ching signs.
Those jerseys, those Wemby Spurs jerseys are already made, and T-shirts already made. The moment the pick comes in and they announce the name, they'll be on the shelves. They're going
to be on Academy. You're going to go to Academy.
They're going to be Academy. They're going to be at the AT&T Center. You cannot miss it. But Joe, we know financially the impact. But again, Spurs fans, perhaps some, not all, have an unrealistic expectation of what he can do on the stat sheet.
They're going to expect him to go for 30 and
triple double a night or lead this team to the finals because he's going to be scoring 40 a night or something like that.
Isn't that the same thing they did with Sohan? You remember Sohan? He came in and they're like, how come the kid's not scoring double doubles every night? How come he's not putting up 20 points?
I missed that.
Come on. They were hard on him in the beginning, but they came around to him. And look at Jeremy Sohan now. He's one of the most beloved players on the team. People love his personality, and they like what he does on the court. I believe the same thing is going to happen with Wemby. They're just going to fall in love with the kid, and he's not going to be able to do any wrong. He's the number 1 pick. Spurs fans are just going to be enamored. Of course, they're going to always want more. They're never happy here in San Antonio unless you win a chip. You know that, Jeff.
So what is Joe Garcia's statistical prediction for Wemby this upcoming season?
I think he's going to average probably, I'd say, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 20, 21 points a game.
Wow, you're being a little more generous than I am.
I'm just being realistic. I'm more realistic. That's what I say.
Okay,
I'll just play. And I think he's going to be able to, pull in doubles, double every night, not only with just 20, 21 points averaging, but I think he's going to be crashing those boards pretty good too. I think he's going to pull in around 12, 13 rebounds a game, And I think he's going to go to the stripe quite a bit, because
I agree with that. Yeah,
you're going to have people that the opposing team's defense just can't handle the kid, so they're just going to be hacking him, and that's one thing that he's going to have to learn to adjust to. He's going to have to learn to.
Oh, Hack-a-Wemby's coming soon.
The Hack-a-Wemby, they're going to hit him, they're going to push him, they're going to slap him, they're going to do whatever they got to do to get him to the stripe. He's just gonna, got to go learn to push on through that and knock him down. Those are easy points. That helps your team when you go to the stripe and you're able to get an easy 2 there, or possibly the and 1, So
right.
I think
he's a decent free throw shooter, in France, about 81% from the free throw line. So that's not too terrible, So I think that's how he's going to get a lot of his points, that in that manner. And I know you're predicting a little hovering around 20. I'm predicting a little under that, but I think things could dramatically change past the All-Star break once he kind of starts getting it and kind of understanding the NBA style and flow. Yeah, who knows? Those numbers may double.
I didn't even think about that, Jeff. I've been so focused on what he's going to do for the economy and so excited to see him out on the court. I really hadn't even thought about the NBA All-Star game, where we could possibly have a San Antonio Spur represented in the upcoming NBA All-Star game. That's another thing to get excited for.
Well, let's put it this way. The whole country of France is probably going to vote him in for the fan vote. So he's probably a lock already.
There should be no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Right now, new customers get themselves a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's right, $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Look, safe, secure app, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than on America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Get yourself that no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And of course, I want to tell you about Mudslingers drive-thru coffee out in San Antonio. Look, over 300 5-star reviews cannot be wrong. It is the best place in San Antonio to get yourself that pick-me-up or that extra drink you need to get you through your day, or to take part in the Wembaanyama fandom that's going on right now in San Antonio with the Alien. You heard that right? It's part of their Red Bull infused lightning bolt series. It's basically kiwi, apple mixed with Red Bull. Perfect for you to get you going and to celebrate Wembaanyama's imminent arrival. Look, they got everything. You got dairy alternatives. They got caffeine-free drinks. If you want to take it easy, safe, friendly location, friendly staff. The list goes on and on. We talked about the alien drink. They also got the OJ. That's the OJ. You want to go get that right now. Basically, it's you remember getting an Orange Julius back in the old 70s and 80s malls in San Antonio. It's back only at Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee, and it is basically having the Orange Julius back. And boy, it is a hit right now. Go out there and get one. Look, they're open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and even the weekends. They're located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. You want to go there right now. Life is too short for a bland coffee.
Like you said, he's probably a lock-in, or they already have the ballots ready to go out in France. But yeah, those are some of our thoughts about some realistic statistical expectations about Wembaanyama. But let us know what you think. You can let Joe know on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. Let me know on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Hey, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts. You guys are the everydayers. We'll likely talk about Wemby on the next show. And speaking of Wemby, let's continue talking about him. There's some talk, we kind of alluded to it in the first segment, Joe, is, is he going to play in the summer league? I think we both agree he's going to play some games, not all the games, but the point is he's likely to play the games. But he's having a busy summer. He's still playing for the Metros right now. They're in the French League finals. Then he's going to have to go to the draft, so that's flying from France to New York City. Then from there, he's likely to have to go to San Antonio. And then from there, he's likely going to go to Sacramento because the Spurs are taking part in another summer league event in California. And then he's probably have to go to Las Vegas. And then there's going to be training camp. And then there's going to be preseason. Then you see where I'm going with this, Joe. So there's been talk about load management. We talked about here in Locked On Spurs, how much you expect. But do you think this would be a delicate balance between fans who are anti, load management, and then preserving Wemby's health is perhaps load managing him earlier in his career? Perhaps you may see him sit out a few games to start simply because he might be burned out already. Your thoughts?
I don't know if we're going to see him play a whole lot. I'm going to be honest with you in the summer, especially over in Sacramento. I think they're going to go ahead and have him travel with the team. Maybe he'll be there in street clothes, but I don't expect him to play. I think we're going to see him play maybe a game or so over in the summer league, over in Vegas. But again, it's just going to be his mere presence that we're going to see there at these events, So I think the Spurs are going to kind of err on the side of caution a little bit. They're going to let him play a couple games just to, do a solid for the fans and get that excitement going because everybody's excited to see the kid on the court. But even during the regular season, that brings a big question, especially with somebody his size, And if you look and see what his history is, he's already played through some injuries early on in his career. Somebody of his size, they always have knee injuries. They always have foot issues, that kind of thing. But, I think he's pretty astute. He really takes great care and taking care of his body. And so does the training staff. They make sure that, he stays very flexible, so he can, avoid those injuries that plague big men of his size. But I think if the Spurs just, go ahead and continue that and just try to do the best they can with the kid, because, the Spurs training staff, supposedly they do a good job. You don't, if you're Kawhi Leonard, they don't, but, historically speaking, they do a decent enough job. So I think they're going to do a good job of being able to keep the kid in game shape and make sure that he doesn't have as many injuries. But that's just always a factor, something that you always got to contend with, going into the NBA season is injury. And you hope that Wemby will stay healthy for the full gamut of games this upcoming season. And, the Spurs will probably, again, here and there, they'll go ahead and take the kid out and try to come up with some type of mystery illness, right, Jeff? To sit him a couple of games and get some rest. But, they do that with every one of their players. So I don't think they're going to treat Wemby any different. But
Yeah.
I think the kid is gonna be able to handle the load, and I want to see him out there on the court. I think being able to play as many games as he can, especially in his rookie season, is just gonna set the tone for the, upcoming seasons, going into his sophomore season. You're gonna want to get as much experience as you can out there on the court because it just helps the player get better. So I hope the Spurs kind of, find a good balance in between the two.
Yeah, Joe, there's an argument to be made that, he's still a teenager. And look, and he's young, he's athletic, he's in shape. Why low manage him? Well, because of that history
Mm.
that players his size and height deal with throughout their careers. But my point in this discussion is instead of, consistently and keeping him out throughout the entire season, is perhaps front load any load management early. I'm not saying all of it, just a majority of it early, simply because he's coming into the NBA off a whirlwind of a summer. So we know the events he has to do. He's going to play in the summer league, depending on how many. It's not just because of the expectation of the Spurs and Spurs fans, but the NBA, because that's their new bread and butter. He's not in the NBA, but you're watching the NBA Finals, Joe, and his face is splashed across promotions about the NBA, and he's not in the NBA yet. So that should tell you what the league is looking at when it comes to Wemby. So I think a good happy middle could be front load, more so of load management to begin, and then bring him on slowly and minimize the load management throughout the, obviously barring any type of major injury, knock on wood. But yeah, I think that could be a happy middle. But Joe, it's coming. He's going to get load managed no matter what, correct?
Yeah, they're eventually going to wind up missing. He's going to miss a couple games because the Spurs, they're known for doing that. They're the ones that started that in the league, Jeff. I mean, come on. The mastermind behind all this is Coach Pop, and he's still the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. So I'm sure Coach Pop is going to just say he'll take the hit, he'll take the fine, and we're going to see some of that load management, unfortunately, hit the San Antonio Spurs budding superstar in Victor Wembanyama this upcoming season.
Well, we hope he'll be a superstar. We don't know yet. That's the thing. We don't know how his game will translate to the NBA. I think it's obvious it's going to do very well considering less physicality, more free flow offense in the NBA. He'll be centered around players. He will be the main guy to work around. So obviously, he's
I'm
going to
going
get
to
the
keep
majority of
this recording, Jeff, so I can play it later on because I'm going to say Jeff was the doubter.
I'm not doubting. I'm just thinking like let's just check. Let's like all the signs, and I'm agreeing with him. I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid right now. That all the signs point to he's going to be a phenomenal player. But I'm like, let's just see how he pans out. Let's just see that first month, the first couple months as he translates. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, he's the Spurs' next generational star, and we hope, and all Spurs fans hope that he will become that and more. But we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about load managing Wemby earlier and then kind of ease off as the season goes on? And also, what do you have as far as realistic expectations for the young 19-year-old? Are you expecting him triple doubles a night, breaking records offensively and defensively, 20 blocks a game, something ridiculous? We got to know. Joe, tell everybody how they can chat with you about what we spoke today, and of course, Two Shots Podcast.
Yeah, they can see what we got going through, coming out here through the website, twosshotspodcast.com. And you can also follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, by just looking us up at Two Shots Podcast. And actually, we're going to be recording an episode later on tonight with some of the guys that cover the NBA over in France. So they're going to be talking to us a little bit about Victor Wembanyama. So I'm going to have another guest on as well. So look out for that episode. It'll be hidden probably sometime over the weekend. If not, we'll release it on Monday. But it's going to be a good episode of the Two Shots Podcast.
Well, there you go. More reason to check out Joe's show, the Two Shots Podcast. Follow him on Twitter again at Two Shots Podcast. And check out Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Kins 5 Plus app. The list goes on. And again, you are the everydayers. We appreciate you coming here to Locked On Spurs every single day. We appreciate it. Probably more Wemby. Just get it ready. Shocker, Joe, right? I think everybody's going to be just talking about Wemby and Wemby. Even after the draft. It's going to be, yeah. So just brace yourself. It's all about Wemby right now. But for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.